welcome to Mark, where it is not just a conversation, a sports conversation. It's a journey with two amazing sports legends who have been there, who have done it all, and probably got t-shirts to prove it. Am I wrong? Yes, my name is Pearl, aka Parley Rose, and I'll be your guide this morning to ensure that these two gentlemen don't get tangled up in their tales of glory, in their goals, and a little bit of exaggeration, okay? So buckle up. It is Mark to Mark where sports and stories collide. Good morning, Mark and Mark.
Morning, Paul.
All right, so on our menu today, as usual, we have a few things to give you. We have the home special. We'll be looking at Uganda cranes. And after that, the second on the menu will be the big abroad, where we'll be looking at the Champions League. And then later on, we have the European football. We'll be looking at Man City and Arsenal's woes, really. That's, who? What's that guy's name?
Pep Guardiola?
Pep, yeah, exactly. And then we have elsewhere abroad. Of course, that will stick to the NBA. And then later on, we'll be back home, where we'll have Mark Namanya taking us through the golf and Mark Sally, the cricket. And then I'll have my take, and then later on going to the prediction. So right now, we are coming to the home special, okay? We have Uganda Cranes versus South Africa. And well, for me as a local one, I'm all in for Uganda Cranes. I don't know if this time we are going all in, defense, or it's going to be, an all-out attack. So let's hear your thoughts, Mark Sally.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. The last conversation we had about the cranes, we were talking about if we thought they'd qualified already or if we thought they still had work to do. There's a few differences between what I thought and what Mark thought. But today, like you say, we need to go into the game because by the time we come back for our next conversation, the cranes will actually have played against South Africa. That's next Saturday. So we want to go into the game today and just take a look at what the cranes need to do to win against South Africa. I think they've had a good campaign. I believe they've had a very good campaign. Paul Put and his charges and his entire backroom staff have done a great job with this current cranes team. There's good chemistry, there's good rapport, and I've seen the celebrations they've had at the end of games have showed me that the players actually are into the management. I don't know the names of the rest of Paul Put's team, but I see the way Dennis Obedo, Rogers Mato, or Travis Mutiaba jump on their backs and celebrate with them when we score or after the final whistle, like when we won against the Congo, for example. And I'm thinking, that's the kind of mood they're going to be taking into that game against South Africa. But it's going to be tough. South Africa know exactly what to expect because the Cranes did shock them the way they performed in Joburg when we played there at the beginning of this campaign.
Yes.
Actually, South Africa could count themselves lucky that they actually got a point from that game because they had to equalize really late. Yeah, the Cranes are having scored two spectacular long-range goals from Dennis Omedi and Rogers Mato. One of the differences, I don't know what Mark thinks about that, one of the things that I've liked about this Cranes under Paul Put is that there's been an emphasis on attack. We still don't score as many goals as I think the Cranes should, but at least there's been an emphasis on attack, and you can see the vibrancy around the team, from the fans, from media, from everybody, is because of some of the things that Dennis Omedi and Rogers Mato, the ones I just talked about, have actually done in this campaign. And then a few others. Jude Semugabi, he's come up with surprising goals. The man from Kitara. Like I said, there could still be more goals. You'd like to see Mokwala or one of the strikers get onto the score sheet. The guys who've been called up to the team as backup strikers have not quite lived up to it. I think in this current squad, the squad that has been summoned for the last two qualifiers actually, has got two unknowns, guys who Ugandans don't really know about. You've got one from Sweden. They're both from Sweden actually. One from Sankven and the other one from Haken. Dembe and Mukisa. I don't know if even Mark has. I don't think even Mark has watched them play. But they are the backups that we have. I think we're going to have to rely on the usual suspects to try and get us the goals against South Africa. But like I said, because they know exactly what to expect from us, we're going to have to be better in midfield and defensively. I thought that in our last home game, we were a bit shaky in keeping possession, in controlling the midfield. With Khalid Awucho, is our senior. He's our captain. He's the guy who holds the midfield together. But the combinations around him, the inconsistencies from, say, Ronald Sechiganda, the man from AC Villa, a very young, very energetic, very hard-working player who blows hot and cold. There's some good games and then there's some bad ones. And then Travis Mutiaba himself, in the three-man midfield, is usually Khalid Awucho and Mutiaba and Sechiganda. Mutiaba, of course, playing further forward as the playmaker. He hasn't lasted the distance in any of the games we have played Mutiaba. I'm wondering about his engine and his fitness levels at Bordeaux. Thankfully, the guy who's been stepping off the bench to replace him or to play with him, Alan Okello, has actually had his best Cranes campaign this time around. But there's backup. There's plenty of backup. Bobosi Biaruhanga is in there from Austin in the US, from Austin, Texas. And Tadeo Luanga is back in the Uganda Cranes squad. So I think we are covered in midfield. The bit is about the chemistry, how they play well together and how they link with the front three that I just mentioned. Because that front three, like I said, Omedi and Mato are sure-ins, but between Mokwala and Semugabi, usually it depends on who the coach will pick to start. Mokwala is an out-and-out number 9. Semugabi actually is a wide player, which means that he does change. When Semugabi starts, Omedi then comes central, other than play wide. Some issues that I'd have, because against South Africa, we're going to have to be in control of that game. We're going to have to be in control of possession, in control of the tempo, create chances, get our crowd into the game and everything. Defensively, I don't have too many worries with Watenga in goal, as well as with the central defensive partnership of Bevis Mugabe and Harid Lualila. There's been one or two games in this campaign in which I thought Lualila was not up to the task, but they've stuck with him and he's done a job. There's good backup in Timothy Awani in case there are changes to be made there, and I don't know why actually Awani has not been in favour with Paul Put the way he was with Mitchell and Basena before that.
Caprodosi has been fantastic.
Caprodosi, yes. I don't know if he's going to be part of this squad. I didn't see him in the list, and he missed the last game. Our last home game he missed. I don't know if it was we had a knock or something. In the wide areas for fullback, we've got Kenneth Semakula at right back, and we've got Aziz Kayondo, who is perhaps our best performer, most consistent performer of this campaign. At left back. Semakula, question marks there. There's been one or two games in which I've thought he's been shaky, one or two games in which I thought he's been exposed. His replacement, I think, in this squad is Gavin Chizot of KCCA, because I don't know, Bomono has not been called back. I don't think Bomono has got enough chances, has been played enough to actually prove himself. I believe deep down personally that is actually better than Kenneth Matov as a right back, Kenneth Semakula rather. I don't believe Semakula actually is a natural right back, but he's had to play there for the Cranes, and there's been one or two good games. There's been some glaring mistakes and some oversights from him which have made me question if he's the man. Yeah.
Elvis was found culpable for Uganda's second goal, the only conceded in South Africa.
In South Africa, yes, yeah. And since then, yeah.
I think maybe the coach Paul Put was very disappointed in him and he hasn't returned to the fold. And that's how Semakula has been starting games. If that was the case, then Semakula should also have been punished for that blunder against Algeria, where Cranes were beaten on the counter-attack, if you remember. But I think Uganda is, like I said, Uganda is going to qualify. I don't think, regardless of the result against South Africa, we are going to qualify. I think we put in enough in the tank to take us through to Morocco 2025. The fear, though, for Uganda is that every time we've had games which have been so hyped, and because it's South Africa, there's been sufficient time to market the game, to hype it as a World Cup final. You know, the last time we had such a game, by the way, that was in 2004. South Africa came to Nambole. That team had Benny McCarthy, it had their World Cup captain, Aaron Mokoena.
Mokoena was there. I think Quinton Fortune was still playing as well.
Quinton Fortune was still playing. We were beaten by a penalty. We lost the game 1-0. I remember that as the game in which Mahmoud Abbas played Robert Sentongo against Aaron Mokoena, and Mokoena pocketed Sentongo because Mokoena was a giant. Sentongo didn't quite trouble him, which was a controversial selection because we felt we needed a bit of physicality against a very experienced team. I think this is going to be Uganda's most stunt test since we played Algeria. I didn't think South Africa, Congo Brazzaville and South Sudan were going to cause us any serious problems at Nambole. But South Africa are a team which do have to express themselves. They're a team which has goals in them. They scored 2 against Uganda, put 5 in the last qualifier at home to Congo Brazzaville. And they've got that man Pasita, who's going to be very, very, is going to punish any mistakes, any sloppiness in the defense. So it's going to be a very difficult game. It's going to be a stand test against a team which loves to express themselves, has got goals in them, and of course, because they're South Africa, they want to top the group. There are certain incentives for topping the group when you get to the seeding for the tournament. And key to that would be taking care of the big game against Uganda at Nambole. I think Uganda will qualify regardless of the result on Saturday. But I've also been impressed by the work Paul Put has done. I didn't think he was the right man for the job when he was appointed, but I've loved how the team is expressing itself. The players have a certain freedom to go out and play. Every time you watch Cranes now, you're seeing chances every now and then, which wasn't the case when, say, Mitchell was the Uganda Cranes coach. There's a certain fluidity about the team. When you have Travis Mutiaba, you have Alon Okello, threading balls for Rogers Mato, threading balls for Dennis Omedi, and I think this Cranes team, for the first time in a long time, does look good and full value for the money of the fans who are paying to go and watch the game at Nambole.
Yeah, certainly. The pressure of playing in front of the home crowd is one of those things that usually puts paid to Cranes' performances. And while they were impressive in South Africa, it's going to be tougher here. Thankfully, like Mark said, we're on the verge of qualification, or, well, in his eyes already there. So there should be a little less pressure. The thing, though, is that what I saw with that game in South Africa is that we scored from range. We didn't quite venture into South Africa box the way I'd like for us to, which is why I'd like to see us possess the ball more and be more confident in possession and passing and be able to pass, to find each other and pass more, pass better, get into the wide areas, get the ball into the box. We don't have quite the presence in the box the entire tournament, actually, the way say in the previous campaigns we had when we had, say, maybe a Fahad Bayo, big guy leading the line, or a few of those.
Even Massa was.
Yeah, Massa was a presence. Massa was a presence. This is the most recent times, because back in the past, of course, we used to have such a huge presence. What we have, though, in attack is loads of pace in Mato and Omedi. They've got some technical ability, and they've got the ability, the enthusiasm, and the ability to take on and beat men, and also to shoot. The willingness to shoot is what I'd like to see most from the Cranes, because in previous campaigns it was really on the low. One of the things, of course, they have to work on, I've seen especially with Mato, is he gets carried away. Sometimes that first touch lets him down because it's too much of a hurry. You'd like to see pace, but you'd like to see...
He's not in control.
Yeah, you'd like to see pace, but you'd like to see controlled pace, where somebody actually is in charge of what they're doing. Sometimes he gets away with that. And then also Semugabi.
And also a little bit of patience in the decision making.
Absolutely.
You pass when you should shoot when you should pass. Those little decisions at critical moments are the ones which separate good players from the truly great players.
The great ones, yeah.
Because Mato has got the ability to cut in, he's got the ability to shoot and to pass. But when do you shoot?
When do you pass?
And when do you pass?
The decision making in the final third. Yeah, Semugabi I've seen as well. Too much enthusiasm, but I even call it innocence, the tactical naivety that he shows
Yes.
in his positional discipline. I call it innocence, but it's that youthfulness is something that we're lacking in the Cranes, which is why I love to see that, and I don't think it should be capped too much. But every once in a while, I think there should be a little more discipline to the way we attack.
Okay, so
I think one thing which I've liked about Put is that previously there's been a certain thought process that players like Alan Okello, Travis Mutiaba were luxuries. When you're looking for a substitute, you're reading 1-0, the first player to take out is Alan Okello, Travis Mutiaba, because you think he's a luxury, and when you want to become compact and resolute to see through the minutes to win the games. Right now, I see a tendency, an inclination, by at least the technical team, to give players. You take out Travis, you bring in Alan Okello. And actually, Alan Okello has improved in his decision making so much that, he knows when to pass, he knows when to shoot, he knows when to beat his man. And it's not a surprise that he's become, he's maturing into the player we often thought he should have been.
He should have been a lot earlier.
It should have been a lot earlier.
I think he was mismanaged both here and in Algeria.
I also think he made, there's that tendency to make that rush early into the paid ranks. We've seen a couple of players, and even at global level, players leaving their leagues prematurely when they think they require a season or two to become better players, to sell their talent when they've really matured as footballers. So I think we're now trying, Alan Okello is nearing what should be his prime years. The good thing is still has the age on his side. He's still a young kid. You can accuse him of many things, but not of having told lies of his age. So I think with him and his progress, I think Crane is standing in very good stead.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Ali goal though, Paul, is what the doctor ordered. We need that. We need an early goal, like I said, settle the nerves of the players on the pitch, because the pressure will be there playing in front of a home crowd. But it's also a home crowd that gets jittery, that can actually go off quiet if things are not working our ways, and then can actually get even critical of players
I think what's
and coaches if things are not working out.
Most important mark is to avoid conceding, as opposed to going for the early goal. Because you may go out for that early goal, but South Africa can punish, and they will get their chances. So it's very, very important not to concede. I do not know how Uganda is going to wear a goal down before a packed Nambole Stadium and then equalize and come back match against South Africa. You can do it against South Sudan, you can do it against Congo Brazzaville, you cannot do it against South Africa. You saw what happened against Algeria. The moment they got level, that was the end of the game for Uganda Cranes.
Mark is heading towards caution. For me, early goal. Go for the early goal, get the crowd in, and South Africa could be put to the squad.
All right, guys. Now, moving on to the big abroad, we are going to look into the Champions League. All right, folks, now let's talk Champions League, a tournament that has most of us, on our toes, okay? And now with this, is it the second league format where almost every game is like a mini final, guys, yeah? It's almost like UEFA said, why wait until May to break some hearts? Okay, now let's get into the drama right now. Let's get into the drama. Let's talk about, what it's all about. Mark?
Yeah, this is a new format, very different from the previous format, where you had 8 groups of 4 teams, where the top 2 advancing to the second round, and then the top 2 would advance to the knockout stages for a right to play in the quarterfinals. It's now changed, so you have one huge group of 32 teams, where teams are drawn again for the first 8 games, the select games to pick which teams will advance, which teams will play in the playoffs to earn the right to compete at the next phase. But I've been very impressed with Liverpool. Liverpool, they've done the job. They've had some very tricky games, and they've come out unscathed in all of them. Beat AC Milan at the San Siro. They beat RB Leipzig away from home. They've beaten Bayer Leverkusen, the German champions, and all these were convincing victories. And Liverpool, I think, Arne Slot must be, one of the most shocked people in how he's managed to get the team playing according to style and picking the rhythm so fast for someone who just taken the reins. They've got so many goals in that team. Mo Salah is firing on all cylinders. They've got Luis Diaz, who is one of the most underrated performers in the Premier League. Cody Gakpo is scoring goals for them. They've got such a very, very stable midfield, where you have McAllister, you have that kid Curtis Jones, who's matured so fast in that team. I love Gravenbach, the guy they got from Bayern. So Liverpool are looking the part, but I think the bigger story, more than even Liverpool, in this week's Champions League has been Real Madrid losing to AC Milan at the San Siro, at the Santiago Bernabeu, and it wasn't just a defeat; it was a comprehensive defeat because Madrid have been lackluster. They're not scoring the goals they should be scoring in that team. They're not defending as good as they can defend, and a couple of question marks being asked about Carlo Ancelotti. I think the biggest problem for Real Madrid, which is what I'm going to say is quite odd, is Kylian Mbappe, because they signed a superstar, a bona fide world-class superstar, a World Cup winner, the all-time goal scorer for PSG, Paris Saint-Germain in French league, but they're still struggling in how to fit him, in how to play him, in how to play to his strength, and in so doing, they've actually disoriented some of the players who are their best players last season. Jude Bellingham looks completely off in that team, and it's going to be a very, very big challenge for Real Madrid, because this Champions League format doesn't offer so many second chances.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it
Look, there's Madrid are, of course, are in a bit of trouble, if you like. There's several games to play. You've got to play 8 games in this format. 4 of them home and 4 away from home, and they are picked from different. The teams you play against are from different pools. So what's going to happen is that the top 8 teams qualify for the knockout phases for the last 16.
Okay.
But the next 8 to join them in the last 16 are not the ones that finish between 8th and 16th in the table, 9th and 16th in the table.
Yeah.
Because what happens is that the teams between 9th and 24th are actually going to be pit against each other, one against the other in a knockout format, one-off knockout format, home and away, to get into the last 16 as well, which is what has made this Champions League different. It's a 36-team table,
Yes.
of which 24 teams will still be involved by the end of the 8 games, and but of which only 16 rather will be in the next round. So the last 8, of course, will be knocked out automatically, and then 8 more will join them out of the tournament. Before, we used to have third-place teams in the group drop into the UEFA League, in the Europa League rather. Now you go home. You're knocked out, you go home. So Real Madrid are one of the many big teams that are actually out of that top 8 at the moment. They have several games to play in which they can make amends, but it gets tougher because actually I think their next game is away to Liverpool, who Mark have just talked about as being in great form. There are several other teams which are out of that top 8 right now. Along with Madrid, in Spain, Atletico Madrid are also out of that top 8.